Good Saturday evening to you. I'm Cheryl Mercedes. We began with breaking news. People are now cleaning up after a tornado outbreak in Greater Houston. This one right here caught on camera in the Katy area. Danny Thigpen says he was in the Sunterra subdivision. That's north of I-10 and west of the Grand Parkway. You can see there that debris flying through the air. A stunning scene in Montgomery County as trees are knocked down and roofs ripped off buildings. Firefighters carried a family from the debris there. We also have another look from the area where fences and warehouses have been torn apart. Also, photos sent in by a viewer in Conroe show even more damage and debris from those powerful storms. Take a look at the piles of wood and the fences there. We have team coverage from some of the hardest hit areas for you this evening. Meteorologist Pat Kavlin will take us through what happened. But first, let's go to Orco in Brazoria County, where sadly we learned someone died there. Orco.
Yeah, Cheryl, one adult has been confirmed dead and 4 others hurt, but I'm told those 4 people are expected to be okay. This is what we're seeing in places all across Brazoria County, including the Alvin and Hillcrest areas, just mangled messes of wood and metal. This is a 5th wheel, and you can see all of this wood and metal and the wiring that is out here. We're told that the strong winds ripped it apart and scattered debris from it all across this area, including this here on the ground, which is actually one of the sides of that 5th wheel. Now, the owner of the 5th wheel, Anna Peterson, was out here for most of the afternoon trying to clean up the damage. She tells us the vehicle was securely hooked into the ground, but again, the strong winds tore it from her front yard and brought it all the way to the property next door. The material of the 5th wheel and all the furniture and belongings inside are strewn across the grass. Peterson describes the terrifying moment when the storm ripped through this area.
I heard it, the back door flew open, and I told my husband run, and we hid in the closet with our puppies, and about 2 or 3 minutes later it was over. And then we opened the front door to see, and it was all gone.
Yeah, just a scary situation for that family. Residents in another neighborhood near Main Street also saw quite a bit of damage. The roof of a home got ripped off and part of it landed several yards down the road. Neighbors we spoke to say thankfully no one was inside that home when this happened. People out here, as well as Brazoria County officials, tell us that having a tornado touch down this time of year in this area is very uncommon. Now, the next step is to clean up all of this debris and to restore power to the impacted areas. Now we want to go to our Troy Kless, who is covering the damage in Montgomery County. Troy, what are you seeing up there?
Well, Orco, we're seeing what is likely the result of damage from some very high winds here in Montgomery County. We're off the area of FM 1314 and Old Houston Road. So if you take a look behind me, you can see this neighborhood is currently in the dark, but you might be able to see what is this misshapen building that was just pushed over by some of the strong wind over. And if you take a look over to the left, you can see that the property owners here are cleaning up in the dark. In fact, there was a 2-story home there where that vehicle was working, but that even collapsed. Now, I do want to remind you, we are in the dark because there are some down power lines, but there was even some strong wind across the street here at a home where I'm told that the wind had caught part of the roof and lifted it off. Now, here's a little bit of a better look of the damage that we saw earlier this afternoon when we arrived here on scene. Now you can see from the road now there is some damage of trees that went into a mobile home here. I'm told that the family in there was safe at the time, but there was also a nearby camper that appeared to have been completely destroyed by that wind. Now, speaking to neighbors that live in this area, it appears that nobody was hurt, but they remember they could hear just the high winds and then a loud roar that followed afterwards. Now, we did hear from the Montgomery County Judge Mark KHOU earlier this afternoon, who tells us that while it is not likely that a tornado touched down in this area, they say it is likely that a tornado touched down in this area, although that has not been confirmed at this time. You can just see some of the damage in the area, including many businesses and other metal siding buildings that were just completely ripped out of the ground here. And I did speak with a man who says that he is, grateful that he and his neighbors are all okay. So we'll hear more from them tonight at 10. But for now, I'm going to send it to my colleague Stephen Goen, who is also in Montgomery County, with more. Stephen.
Troy, we're looking at an almost unbelievable amount of damage just everywhere around me. You can see trees just completely snapped. It's going to be hard to tell with the sun setting, but right now we are in a mobile home and RV community in Conroe along FM 1485. And you can see some of their stuff here just completely flipped over. We spoke to a man who lived here, he said, for more than 20 years, and he only had a few minutes to get to safety when that tornado warning came out. Take a listen.
Right when the wind started picking up, I said, okay, we all need to get underneath the porch. Before I could get the word porch out of my mouth, we were all on the ground. And it just went, KHOU. I've never seen wind like that before. And I knew, of course, at that moment, I knew it was a tornado. But there was no stopping anything. It was just instantly, everything was gone.
You can see more down trees right here, just everywhere. Some of these homes look like they had bombs just dropped right on top of them. Where we are standing, we are also next to a local firehouse and also a church. They also sustained some damage, but everyone in this area seems to be okay. They told me they are grateful that they made it through, though they understand their homes, some of their businesses are just completely lost out here. So a lot of cleanup that has to happen, but right now I think people are just pretty shocked that they lived through this. Back to you.
Yeah, definitely you could hear it in that man's voice. Thankfully, he was listening to the warnings and got down on the ground. Thank you so much, Stephen. As the damage from these powerful storms and possible tornadoes continued to surface, our crews were in North Katy earlier this evening in a neighborhood that took a hard hit. Take a look here. You can see the roof of a house blown off, debris scattered across yards, and even, you'll see here shortly, a flipped truck. We spoke with a couple of residents who shared their frightening experiences.
And we just started seeing debris just turning, and then out of nowhere you just see the funnel just come down and it just touched ground right there. And then out of nowhere it just started coming towards us, and that's where we just ran into the closet.
I was a little scared. The whole house shook. I was scared on that. Like, I didn't know what was going on, like what's gonna happen, but our power went out and stuff.
Homeowners tell us this is the third tornado they've seen in their neck of the woods this year. Let's check in now with meteorologist Pat Kavlin. And Pat, you've been on it all afternoon. What a wild couple of days of weather here in Greater Houston. What are you tracking now?
You're not kidding. I mean, it's just not just today. This is the third event of severe weather that we've had so far this week. Here are the tornado reports from today. There's 8 reports on the map. They're going to filter this down to eventually show that there were probably 4 to 5 confirmed tornadoes across the area. Let's start with some of these reports. This was the first one that we got in the Katy area. This is where our Michelle Choi was earlier in the day. Tornado damage was in a mobile park home near Noel Lane. We saw cars flipped over, extensive damage even to brick homes and to roofs. Some of the worst damage that we saw today was up in the Porter Heights area. Mobile homes destroyed, brick homes severely damaged. One of the fire departments up there in East Montgomery sustained significant damage as well. Then as the afternoon went on, the threat focused more down to the south. It started in Alvin, where we had multiple homes destroyed. There was substantial damage along County Road 191A and State Route 35. We had a fatality in Liverpool. And then finally, that tornado made its way all the way across Galveston Bay and into Chambers County, where a car was thrown near Smith Point, possibly seeing some injuries there, and it continued out towards the Seabreeze community, where it eventually made its way out into Jefferson County. Now we take a look at radar, and things are a lot quieter. The storms have now moved off towards the east. We are totally done with the severe threat, and the tornado threat is over. In fact, our rain chances are really done now, as this whole storm system has moved off towards the east into Louisiana and Mississippi. But so far this week, since Christmas Eve alone, there have been 18 tornado warnings across southeast Texas. Now the cleanup begins. The good news, we've got great weather for this cleanup before a cool down arrives New Year's Eve.